Greetings, brothers and sisters. Greetings. First and foremost, we must acknowledge our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, for allowing this word to come out. And I hope you sincere brothers and sisters are truly edified by today's word. Today is the Sabbath, okay? And so what I would like to do is talk about a subject matter, talk about something that is very important in these days. I'm going to name this word a godly life, living a godly life in an ungodly world. I'll say it again, brothers and sisters. The name of today's word is called living a godly life in an ungodly world. Okay. When you think of, brothers and sisters, when you pause for a minute and you think about the title of this word, all right, one of the things you have to keep in mind when you're transitioning from the world and when you're transitioning from the world to the living according to the biblical principles, in that transition is not really a guideline. It's not like a manual. It's not like a cheat code that's given to you to help you transition from, to being able to live righteously, live godly in a world that's overran with ungodliness. It's not a manual that you could buy and get this type of information. So Proverbs, okay, which is the book that we're going to speak from, gives you that wisdom. Another word for Proverbs would be wisdom. And in the world that we're living in today, you're going to need not book smart wisdom. You're going to need spiritual wisdom to deal with these the ungodliness, the craftiness, the cunning of people that's demons in disguise. Okay, demons in plain sight. So you got to really be able to have a weapon of intelligence, a weapon of wisdom, a weapon of being able to see, a weapon of discernment. All those things, you're going to need that as part of your spiritual weaponry to be able to live a godly life in this ungodly world. We're going to come to you in Proverbs chapter 1, verses 2, closing it out in verse 7. In Proverbs chapter 1, okay, verse 2 reads, to know wisdom and instruction. Okay, this is the proverb of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. Okay, says, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding. When it talks about to perceive the words of understanding, it's speaking about being able to have discernment. That's very key in this time that we live in, brothers and sisters. You got to have discernment. Once you acquire discernment, you have such an advantage over most how can I put this? You have such an advantage over worldly people. You have such an advantage over people that call themselves Christian folk. You have such an advantage over them as well. When you acquire discernment, let me tell you something. It don't take much for you to be able to know which way to go, which way to deviate. A lot of times you'll pick it up that quick once you have acquired this thing called discernment. So just keep that in mind. Again, in Proverbs 2:1, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, aka to acquire discernment. Verse 3, Proverbs chapter 1, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. Okay? When it speaks about equity, it's talking about uprightness. Okay? Living righteously. Flying straight. not crooked. Okay. Verse 4, to give subtlety to the simple, to give prudence to who? The simple. Okay. Those that are, how can I put this? Those that are seducible, easily seducible will be the simple. The open-minded ones, the naive ones, okay? That would be the simple that it speaks about in Proverbs 1 verse 4. Again, to give subtlety, to give prudence to the simple, to the open-minded, to the naive, to the easily seducible ones. To the young man, knowledge and discretion. Okay? When we're talking about discretion, we're talking about having the ability to, having the power of devising would be a great way when we're talking about discretion and Proverbs 1 verse 4. Counsel, okay? Being able to identify wickedness when you see it. Discretion. Verse 5, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall acquire unto wise counsel. See that? Wise counsel is when you surround yourself with like minds spiritually that can give you additional spiritual weaponry as you walking and living a godly life in this ungodly world, man. That's cold-blooded, man. I'm going to read that again. Proverbs 1 verse 5. A wise man will hear and will increase learning. In other words, a wise man will take some information. He will hear. He will take some information and use that to his advantage. He will leverage that to his spiritual weaponry. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain to wise counsel. And again, that wise counsel is surrounding yourself around others that's sharp, iron sharpen iron. Surrounding yourself with those that can be considered spiritual elders to you, spiritual mentors to you, spiritual coaches, advisories, wise counsels, men that's maybe a grade or two above you in the areas where you're trying to master. Okay. Proverbs 1 verse 6. To understand a proverb. Okay. In other words, a byword. A proverb can be considered a byword, a saying, a metaphor. Okay. To understand a proverb and the interpretation of it. Like Yahushua spoke in parables. You know, in other words, he spoke in a way, if you had to translate it today, the way Yahushua teaching style was, he used metaphors. He was able to paint pictures. He had to draw out, give you, images of what he was saying, in a sense. Okay, to understand a proverb and interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. Okay. Yeah, man. So a dark saying would be, that can be a sententious saying, a coded speak, coded talk. Okay. Dark saying. Yeah, it's in a way where only certain individuals are fortunate to understand that. It's not privy. It's not open for everybody to understand. It's not open for everybody to interpret. Those are the secrets you have. So if you're around undercover demonic people, if you're talking in code to someone that's on the same spiritual level as you in this particular circle, you and that person will be eye to eye, ear to ear. Y'all speak the same language and understand it. But somebody that's quite undercover and that's different from you, that would be considered a dark saying, the way we are interacting with one another, opposed to that person. And we're going to close it out in verse 7, which is the point. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So the masterful key into living a godly life in an ungodly world, the first thing you have to do is acquire the beginning of knowledge, and that starts with the fearing of the Lord. So when you on your journey of living a godly life in an ungodly world, you have to, your biggest bullet in your weaponry, or your biggest weapon, your biggest ammunition, is number one, fearing of the Lord. Once you acquire the fearing of the Lord, that's going to orchestrate how you move forward. Because when you understand the best wisdom you can have is the fearing of the Lord, guess what that's going to do? Once you know that you conscious of fearing of the Lord, at any given moment, you scared to death. Why? Because you know the Lord will knock your wingtips loose just because he can. So when you understand the fear of the Lord, you understand that snap of a finger, night night for you. Snap of a finger, night night for anybody you love. Snap of a finger, night night, period. The Lord can do nasty work to you just because he want to, just because he can. So when you acquire that type of fear, knowing that just because the Lord can get down and get busy and mess up your whole understanding me, you're going to learn what obedience is. You're going to learn what righteousness is. You're going to learn when and how to deviate from those that's contrary to your walk. You're going to be able to identify them and make a quick decision to deviate. Yes, sir. So all I got for you, sincere brothers and sisters. The Sabbath service is coming later today, Lord willing. I hope you sincere brothers and sisters were truly, truly edified by this word. We give all praises, glory, and honor to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through his only begotten Son, Yahushua, for allowing this word to come out. Stay prayed up. Keep Yahweh through his only begotten Son, Yahushua, first in everything that you do, man. Word.